Hello! The mental element of martial arts is said to be 90% of the game. But what's another reality to that truth? It is 90% because everyone else working is working to reach a certain tier, a certain standard. Thus, from there, the difference is in inches. Every inch from there will take you a mile over the course of the fight. In essence, the inches add up, and so a break in composure, a break in will, being caught up in anxiety, stifling up, these are big inches that can muffle or straight up take away your skills altogether. But what's another truth? The skills themselves can be measured in inches, reach, physical ability, innately, before the fight had even begun. In the realm of physical ability, Jake Paul, he looked like a giant compared to Ben Askren. It's the law of the jungle. The bigger animal typically dominates the smaller one. That's why there are weight classes, because whether it be in muscle mass or even a body fat percentage, that does not impede upon one biomechanically. Size and physical ability are a huge advantage. They are definitely an advantage, and from there, take skills into the equation as well. Even though Ben Askren had a world-class competitor's mind, he was just a shark out of water who was just figuring out how to walk on land, and quite frankly, from where he was to how he had to improve, how he actually did improve, it just was not enough to mitigate the law of the jungle. With that said, Jake Paul did very well, considering he had all the advantages physically and technically. He seemed very humble. He had respect for Ben and the potential threat he could have brought as a competitor. He could have just looked at him, looked at where he was, what he looked like, and how he looked during training, then said, I'm going to walk through this guy. But because he did his best to remain disciplined to his game, he did. Jake Paul is clearly trying his best in every domain of this game, and that truly is a beautiful thing to see. A YouTuber known for making troll comedy videos and music videos walking in with a decorated world-class competitor, then straight up one-punching him. That says quite a bit about a human being's proclivity to appeal to authority, but Mother Nature just does not care. Jake Paul
is a real boxer, I think.
Yes.
He had legit boxing fight in amateur, right? Him or his brother. What I don't like is the idea that a lot of people thinks it's maybe because a lot of them it's because of ignorance. They think, oh, he's just a YouTuber against a guy that is he's got a real boxing background.
I don't know why people say that he isn't just because they don't like his behavior. Could he hang with the best of boxing? No. If you're comparing him with that, that's silly. To even compare him to that standard is ridiculous. But to say he's not a fighter when he's trying his best to improve himself, when he's giving up all the pleasures he could have had, living his life in a nice, big, cushy home, but instead choosing to seclude himself to his team in training, testing himself in the gym, competing. No. Even from Jake Paul, I do hear a bit of hesitation in Jake's voice. Too, when he says he's a fighter, even though George St. Pierre recognizes him as one. That hesitation, for now, that's a good thing, because it shows that he still has to improve. He knows this himself in his heart, that he can still grow. That glint of doubt, though, it has to be overcome. He has to work and develop himself to a point where whenever he says he's a fighter, he truly feels it in his being. He should feel it so thoroughly that it almost seems silly having to say it. This may be an ecstatic moment for him, I'm sure it was, but I know he still has a lot of potential to unlock. It's there, but tempering any look of panic away to confidence, training away any uncertainty and filling yourself up with a stone-cold confidence amidst the nerves, fear, excitement, the nerves one may feel within themselves. I believe he has to temper and transmute those. The nerves are still there, but his belief in his training, his belief in himself, overshadow it. Thus use that energy to his advantage, to fuel his flow. I think that will be part of the puzzle that takes Jake Paul to another level. In this world, he has all the tools, he has the gifts and ability to refine the temperament. When he does, I think we'll stop calling him the problem child and instead, just straight up, the problem. Maybe he'll still keep the name, who knows? I just said that because it sounded cool. That said, let's take a closer glance at a few moments which set up the devastating finish. Ben Askren looked slow, but he was still composed. He was very aware in there, and he managed to time a nice right hand over the top of Jake Paul's extension. Jake Paul, he was programming with his jab, using his reach. It was the moment he tried to commit hard with a lead hook that allowed Ben to see it coming. Thus, even with a speed advantage, duck Then over the top came that right. Timing dings you even when you don't have power. Nonetheless though, with consistent programming, jabbing with a slip to the head outside, it seemed like Jake was trying to get Ben Askren to time his jab so that he could come the other way with a powerful right hand. Feinting, jab cross to the body, Jake mixing it up, waiting, reading for openings. Clearly, he was taking Ben Askren seriously. He's doing his best to implement his training. A lot of the time, what happens when an actual fight occurs is that we forget everything that we learned, or at least most of it, because unable to remain composed, the training, it just goes out the window. Our minds, they get hijacked by the flight or fight response, thus forgets the skills we drilled into our higher cognitive faculties. That's quite literally how it works. Cortical inhibition or frontal lobe shutdown, shutting down our higher reasoning, higher problem-solving ability, and handing it to the less developed part of our brain because, quite frankly, it evolved first. The less developed part of our brain evolved first, and evolution is just a very slow process. That's why you get dumber when you panic. You become more primitive. You enter a more primitive version of yourself. But by staying focused and having a clear intent, remaining calm and composed, those skills naturally came forward as he trained them based upon what the moment presented. This haymaker to the body. Just look at how Ben Askren ducks potential fire to his head as a flinch response to the telegraph. Jake Paul is reading the fight against Ben Askren. After the break, Ben tries to force his entrance but meets a technique very similar to the one used by Na Inoue. But instead of fading away and letting the opponent enter the space into the slingshot check hook, Jake Paul moves back, plants his feet, and ducks momentum into his fascia, which slings the strike into Ben's extension. Respect has been established. Ben Askren now knows he can't just rush in and crack Jake like an egg. He can't just pressure him down and break him. Can't just break him mentally. Jake Paul has the tools to deal with Ben Askren's reckless engage. So that element has now been stifled, but just look at that. Ben Askren reads the counter check and despite having very little power, touches Jake Paul against the head position. Ben Askren, he's a very smart guy. He's just physically not a striker. He's a very, very intelligent individual, but physically his body just isn't built for this, even though he was getting a handle of the techniques and training. But that's just it. It's not just knowing. It's refining it into your being. You become the techniques. You encode the techniques into your very being, just like how you encode a saxophone into your being as you keep playing it. You become the instrument. The instrument becomes a part of you. Nonetheless, though, Ben Askren is a very intelligent individual. That's why he's a world-class athlete and has been a champion in mixed martial arts with just wrestling. He didn't even have striking. But again, nature does not care for status. It does not appeal to authority. The law of the jungle is still in play. Looping haymaker comes in so fast that Ben can barely dodge it. It just touches him. Guard raised. Jake Paul blasts through Ben's guard like it never even existed. It's like a hot knife through butter. Blocks vision with the jab. But then, in that moment where Ben couldn't see the load up, boom. Jake Paul hits Ben Askren with a bazooka. He even unpinned his back foot and shifted into the strike like Triple G. This innately increased the momentum of the strike. It was just pure physical ability, blasting Ben Askren to the canvas. I do believe Ben could have continued this fight, but I felt like it was a good thing the ref stopped it. After all, he's an older retired man now. The moment Jake Paul felt that he could do that, the moment he felt he could just do that to Ben Askren, blast through him, because Ben Askren did not even have the physical ability to guard the jab, because his body's muscle type was not developed enough. He did not build it enough to properly withstand the techniques coming at him. The moment Jake Paul realized this, he could have done this to Ben all night. He could have blasted Ben Askren with a jab, blocked vision, then nuked his consciousness over and over again. Ben Askren may have been learning, he may have been improving, but his body just did not develop fast enough to use what he was learning. And so, I'm glad the fight ended. Ben can go back home to his beautiful family and give them an even better life, with nothing else changing that much. What else is going to change by that much? After all, he was already being ridiculed by everyone after the Jorge Masvidal finish. He was already having it rough. He can handle what's coming next, and I'm sure being able to give back more to his loved ones in the end, it makes it all worth it. Because at the end of the day, what truly makes our life meaningful? It's being able to serve where we're supposed to serve, and to the people we are supposed to serve. His wife, his children, his coaching position. He still has an amazing life to go back to. It's just now he has more money doing it. I wish the best for him. And for sure, this contest takes nothing away from Ben Askren's accomplishments. Jake Paul's a beast. He's gonna get a lot better. For sure. Thank you both for the privilege. It was an amazing event. Snoop Dogg is hilarious. I laughed super hard when Justin Bieber tried to amp up when Justin Bieber tried to amp up a crowd. He tried to amp up a crowd that for the most part wasn't there. Oh man, that was funny. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you guys. Sorry. I enjoyed this a lot. It was a lot of fun. I was definitely pumped up. A lot of the fights were very, very legit. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you all. And until next time, peace.